Senators, I'm grateful for the opportunity to testify. I wish I could be doing it in person. We're all here, I think, because of one picture. This is the change that's been brought about not directly by Citizens United, but by a decision of the DC Circuit after Citizens United called Speech Now, the decision that gave birth to super-PACs. And super-PACs which have led to an extraordinary concentration in campaign funding for outside independent political action committees. This graph, the top line, the black line, shows that in 2018, 46% of outside spending came from 0.01% of the contributors. And in the same year, the top 400 individuals, 400, constituted 21% of the contributions made in those campaigns. Now, what that system does is produce an enormous dependence on a tiny fraction of the public. And in the states, it produces a dependence not just on the very rich, but increasingly on out-of-staters, so that out-of-staters can spend money in campaigns in a state, and increasingly legislators feel like they need to represent not just their own citizens, but the citizens that happen to come from out-of-state places that want to spend large monies to affect or influence the campaigns. Now, I strongly support the move that Washington is making to call for an amendment, and failing that, for an Article 5 convention. And I just want to briefly make 3 points in support of this legislation. The first point about the conventions is to recognize that, contrary to the testimony of many very intelligent and informed people, including my friend Robert Reich, Article 5 convention has no power to do anything except propose an amendment to the Constitution. It has no power to change the rules by which an amendment can be adopted, and there is no historical precedent to support the claim that it does. This is a simple path to propose amendments that Congress might not have the political will to propose themselves. Number two, it's my view that we need to build a convention movement that reaches across partisan lines. And that might mean being open to proposals for conventions that include issues that not all of us are happy about, but that we accept because we recognize that if America views a convention as a partisan entity, that guarantees that the work of the convention will fail. And number three, I want to strongly endorse the really brilliant strategy that Washington evinces here to force Congress to act. What we know about Congress is that it has no real desire to change the system they're living under right now at a constitutional level. There are many people who are pushing for an amendment in Congress, and I certainly hope Congress proposes that. But as any amendment requires 2/3 of Congress to support it, Congress needs an effective incentive. And the structure that Washington has proposed in this bill is a brilliant incentive to do that. By calling on Congress to propose an amendment, obviously that has no effect directly on Congress. But by having that resolution transition into a call for a convention, Congress knows it's living under a time clock that at a certain point will create the demand for a convention that, if called, will propose amendments that maybe Congress itself is not eager to see proposed. So this is a brilliant evolution in the strategy to get Congress to respond to the problems that we've seen with the concern about money in politics. And I'm very hopeful Washington adopts this, and we can take this very same idea around to other states across the country to get them too to join this movement that Washington has begun to force Washington, D.C. to act. With that, I'm grateful again for the opportunity to offer my views, and I'm happy to take whatever questions might be helpful.